Welcome into Real Talk Wrestling. I'm your host, Josh. We are all jumbled around, but don't worry, I'll fix it right here. We are joined by, of course, the Ultimate Babyface. Actually, you turned heel last week. You did turn heel last week, Chris. That's how we left the show. And I'm the new babyface of the show. That did happen, Clutch. Big WWE Mark over here. I went to the good side of WWE. I was trying to tell Chris how good Raw is. And without further ado, here's our boy Clutch, one of my favorite guests, one of my favorite people of the Finstock Sports Network. What is going on, my guy? How you doing?
As always, I'm trying to get this thing up really quick. Here we go. Okay, I'm good now.
Oh, gosh. Don't hinder the gender. Listen, a lot of controversy over gender. Did you actually, before I get into the plugs real quick, I got to ask, did you guys think that the Jinder Mahal, Seth Rollins things was real, like it was going to happen? Or did we think it was going to be another angle? Because I thought it was going to be another angle.
I thought it was going to be an angle. Kind of like that.
I mean, didn't we learn from the first time around, Jinder can come out of left field and be right in the title picture?
Well, they're not going to India, are they, this year? Or where, right? No?
No.
I have no idea what's on their schedule afterwards. No, because what is it? Australia is where they're going to go?
Yeah, they're going to Australia. That's
Australia.
True. But international, yeah, that's the only thing I've heard of.
France and Australia. But hey, listen, I am down for Jinder. I think it's okay. I don't care if he hasn't won a match in however long. I think this is going to be a vehicle for Damian Priest to cash in. That's what I think is going to happen eventually, or at least try to. But before we get into anything, make sure you follow us on Twitter at RTWChris, at Josh Kimmel OUS. Clutch, I don't memorize yours. I'm a bad host. I'm sorry.
That's so sad. I thought we were friends.
Friends.
Yeah. Find me, Miami Clutch P, talking my Miami Heat, especially this time of year. A lot of stuff to talk about.
Don't
even get me started on the Dolphins yet.
Oh no, we won't get to the Dolphins. I don't want to talk about that game. I'm representing the Jaguars tonight. Representing my homeboy Tony Khan, of course. Let's get right into that. Right off the clip. I need to know. Of course, follow us at Finstock Sports Network, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the fun stuff. Tony Khan went nuts again. Chris, you texted me. Tony's going nuts again.
Yep.
Whatever you said. And I said, what this time? And I just had to go look it up. And I cannot believe what I actually saw. I honestly had to double check, triple check to make sure it was a real account. Tony Khan was counting wins. He was counting wins in a professional wrestling promotion. I don't know how you guys feel about wins and losses and if they matter, if they should matter. Clutch, I'll start with you. Like, do you actually go like Hook's 28-1? He deserves a title shot. Or you're like, come on, calm down. He's fighting on Rampage. Like, what are we doing here?
I didn't even know Hook was 28-1 until Tony said it. Yeah. The funniest part of the whole thing was probably me just envisioning Tony tweeting at a USA Network intern, probably like in his basement eating Hot Pockets and chilling. Like he's the one booking the card.
Well, what I heard, which I didn't go and double check this, I think USA Network took a shot at Tony Khan when the Jaguars didn't make the playoffs. I didn't go back that far. That's what I read somewhere on X. I didn't care to look it up. You're a owner of a multi-million-dollar company. What are you doing? You're acting like one of these Mark fans. You're acting like someone like a Gareth WWE or like a Jobber Nation or one of these just jabronis. It just doesn't make sense. You're yelling at burner accounts. You're arguing with, Josh K 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, what are we doing? I just can't. It's honestly an embarrassment. In my opinion. I used to go nuts like that on people on Twitter. I kind of like don't do it anymore because it's not worth my time. I thought Tony would have something more to do or better to do, like, I don't know, create storylines for a show. I don't know.
Or get
Come
his
up with
Jaguars in order.
that. He has a soccer team, I believe, as well. I don't know. Chris, after watching Dynamite last night, do you think Tony Khan was too worried fighting with username 124 I love cats, or because he didn't have a creative at all for Homecoming? Nothing, not one thing happened.
So let me just touch on this real quick. I guess part of it too stemmed from what it sounds like. I guess people were giving him grief about putting Hook in a title program, but like everyone was giving, I guess, WWE a free pass for putting Jinder in a title program, and I think that's where it came from. Is he was like, wait a second, why are they getting a free pass over there? And this guy hasn't won a match in a year. And I'm putting a guy that's, maybe he's not seen as a main event guy, but this is what his record is. I think that's where he brought up his record. I mean, given all that, I still don't think it was warranted for him to go crazy again on Twitter. Like, I really think he just needs to just put the blinders on, do your thing, and don't worry about everybody else. Do your thing. Make your product your product. That's when it was at its best, right? When they were doing their thing, they didn't really care too much. Yeah, you made the occasional joke here and there, but he wasn't going on all these Twitter rampages. So,
yeah, I mean, we see the ratings. They're not good right now. I think last night's Dynamite was the 4th worst rated show, like ratings wise. I guess 4th lowest, you'd want to say, of all time, which is not great. The Collision ratings are awful. Nobody watches Rampage. This is the worst pay-per-view they've ever put on at World's End. I feel like things are tumbling for Tony Khan. I feel like AEW is going to be overtaken by TNA, most likely. TNA's got huge buzz. They got a huge pay-per-view. Everyone's talking about this pay-per-view coming up on Saturday night.
Are you going to watch it?
No, I'm watching the Dolphins.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Dolphins will be playing in negative 30-degree weather and losing, so that's going to be fun to watch.
That's their punishment for losing on Sunday.
Don't get us started, Chris. We don't want to talk about that. Don't with your little. You know what? With your little Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield love over there, Chris. Look, you got nothing on us. At least we have
some Tom Brady love. Okay. You know what I realized? I don't want to get too off topic since this is a wrestling podcast. Real story. I just saw a graphic. The Dolphins have not won a playoff game since 2000. Is that right? Or is that graphic wrong?
No, that's right.
Is that okay? I really did not think it had been that long. But you got me off topic on the Dolphins there. I thought they had won one since then.
It's been a while.
If the Dolphins were in a division like the Buccaneers, they'd probably win a couple division titles by now.
They were in a division with 3 really bad teams for the last 20 years. It's just they were one of them.
Oh, that's pretty funny, Chris. I will not to get off topic, but one more football comment. I gotta kick back because you winning the division, your team winning the division, possibly beating Philadelphia, maybe, possibly. This is setting the Buccaneers franchise back at least 2 to 3 years because you're forced to keep Todd Bowles and you're forced to keep Baker Mayfield and you're forced to be mediocre.
Yep.
It'd be better off if you guys lost and then you could fire the head coach, get rid of Baker, and bring in one of these Vrabel. Wouldn't you rather have Vrabel? Wouldn't you rather have Belichick? Wouldn't you rather have one of these guys out there over Todd Bowles? Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd Bowles, I think, is a
great. The Falcons are doing right now, no?
Yeah,
I think Todd Bowles is a great defensive coordinator, but head coach wise, yeah, he's not it. I will agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, I agree. And then the Buccaneers are losing their offensive coordinator. He's already interviewing with the Carolina Panthers as a head coach. Yeah. Bucs are in shambles. You guys might be riding high right now with your subpar record. Anyway, let's get back to wrestling.
Riding high with my recent Super Bowl. That's what I'm riding high with.
Yeah, let's get back to
my blood money Super Bowl. All right, I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Got my heel jab in there.
So did you watch Dynamite last night?
I don't put myself through that. I'm sorry, but I do keep up on Twitter more or less on the important things. Like I've kept my eye on Twitter of when is Mercedes showing up? When is Mercedes showing up? I don't think she's showing up.
Don't get Josh started on that. Oh no,
that was started. Last week I didn't watch Dynamite Clutch because the rumors were Mercedes was going to be there. And I put on Twitter, I even went on the show and said, I'm not watching Dynamite. I didn't watch Dynamite because I'm so sick of getting my hopes up because she's my favorite wrestler in this era, this generation, and I'm never gonna see her again. I don't think I'm ever gonna see her again. I think she's gone. I think the closest to Mercedes I'll ever get is Instagram, which I appreciate. So she was supposed to show up last night. Apparently, again, didn't happen. I actually did watch Homecoming for that reason. So I'm a fraud. I still watched it. I watched it to the end. I even DVR'd it and watched the rest of it. Saw the Bucks come out. Let's get to the Bucks. Did you guys see, first off, the Sting match? I know, Clutch, you said you don't watch it. Did you see any highlights?
I saw the Scorpion Death drops on the table. That was sick. I mean, at first when Sting was taking those bumps, I was like, "What are you doing, bro? Like, you're too old for this." But if you're gonna go out, I guess go out with a bang, bro. Like, that's the one thing I'll give them credit for. Sting's doing his thing.
And he's been doing that the whole time he's been in AEW. Because I remember when he first came over, I'm like, oh, they're just going to let him have a couple matches. And he's known for jumping off high areas always in AEW. That's like been his thing, surprisingly. Like that jump that you saw last night that he took, it's probably on the smaller end of the bumps he's been taking.
It's funny because I listened to the Matt Hardy podcast and they talked about him and Jeff and they had their match and I guess they were all a team and Darby and Jeff were like looking at what they can do and what they can jump off of. And Sting comes over to Jeff and's like, "You're going to jump off that?" And Jeff's like, "I guess, yeah." Sting's like, "Can I do it?" And Jeff's like, "Yeah, I guess." Like, that's just like Sting wants to do this kind of stuff, which last night watching it, he had Clutch. He had, what's his name? Hobbs in the Scorpion Death drop, walking up the steps, walking on a very narrow walkway. I thought they were going to fall before they even got to the spot. Did you see that, Chris, where they were kind of like messing up a little bit? You probably didn't notice it, but I noticed it big time.
I didn't notice it because I was watching so far behind. And so by the time that match was on, it was so late. Yeah. So I was like 45 minutes behind since my podcast from Tuesday night got pushed to last night.
Oh, gotcha.
So no, I did miss that.
Well, Scorpion Death dropped him. And he missed the first table. He's supposed to land on the first table and the second table. He totally missed, overshot it. Their heads both nailed the ground. Before that spot, Darby Allin did a coffin drop off the freaking who knows where. Darby Allin's bad shoulder. He landed straight on the bad shoulder. But Tony Khan has the safest work environment. Did you guys hear that interview?
I did. I did hear that.
Wait, did you see I saw the swing spot they did. I think it was I forget the names because I don't know these wrestlers that well. Takeshita. And
Takeshita. Yep.
Yeah,
Takeshita.
Yeah. And they swung Darby Allin till he hit his head on the rope.
Mm-hmm.
That was, safest work environment.
Safest. No, the biggest track record. Did you guys hear the interview? Hey, Tony Khan, is there an open investigation or was there an open investigation for Chris Jericho? I can't really speak on internet rumors, but we're the safest environment. I put us against any wrestling company. We're the safest. Like, dude, you never answer a question. You always
while he's wearing the thing he was wearing, by the way.
Oh yeah, that Tony Storm put on him. Which she was the only bright spot. She was the only bright spot of that show last night. She was the only bright spot. Her gimmick, her promo backstage, where she was just, I don't know. Chris, you saw it. Clutch, you didn't. She's doing the best work. I think she's the best female wrestler right now in the world over Rhea. I take her over Rhea. I do.
Yeah.
Not wrestling wise, but character wise. I think she's doing phenomenal work. I love it. And if you're not watching, at least for her, you're missing out. I think she's great.
You got you at least got to go on Twitter or wherever and watch the little backstage segments of her. It's very entertaining.
Tony's good. I wish Triple H used her, or he wasn't even there, but I wish Vince would have used her instead of throwing pies in her face with Charlotte Flair. Like that's, and Clutch knows that was the last straw. Charlotte Flair was throwing pies in her face, and she's like, "I'm out." She quit after she didn't even finish that program. I don't think, right, Clutch? Like she just quit in the middle.
I don't think she did, and I think she just basically walked out.
Yeah, she walked out because they were throwing pies in her face, which is embarrassing, right? As a professional wrestler. So back onto the Sting match, you had the Young Bucks walk out in an overrun, by the way, 5-6 minute overrun. It was like 10:06, so nobody saw it if you DVR'd it. Nobody saw it if you DVR'd it, which I listen to Jim Cornette. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I listen to Jim Cornette. He complains every single week about the DVR. He's like, I'm not setting my DVR. I set it for whatever time. And if there's an overrun, then the cable network should know because they should. He used to run his own promotion and it'll be recorded and it never happens. Last night, Tony Schiavone said, this is where AEW I don't like. Tony Schiavone says, we have a 6-minute overrun or 5-minute overrun approved. So set your DVRs. There's no excuses. That was a direct shot at Jim Cornette. Don't let them know. Don't let them know that you're bothered by their podcast, bothered by their comments. And that's what Tony Khan and this whole place does. They let people know that they're bothered, that they're worked up. You ever see Triple H do that, Clutch? Ever?
Never. Like they never acknowledge when they're being like, when any shot goes at Triple H, when any shot went at Vince McMahon back then, they never showed that it bothered them ever.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the difference between a professional and an amateur. Honestly, Jim Cornette made a great analogy. Like, we've never seen indie wrestling on live national television ever. It's always been professional. Even WCW, AEW is indie wrestling at its core. It really is. We saw it last night with the 8-man tags. Why is Edge, who's not even involved in any kind of program, teaming up with Orange Cassidy? And I don't even remember the other two guys. That's how irrelevant it was. Preston Vance,
yeah.
And I'm naming guys that Clutch doesn't even know. I guarantee it. And he's like, why is Adam? He's probably thinking Adam Copeland is a superstar. Why is he in an 8-man tag with Orange Cassidy and a bunch of jobbers? Makes no sense.
Yeah, you lost me at Edge.
You're not in with Edge? Are you out?
No,
with Edge?
I'm sorry. You lost me at Orange Cassidy. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're not. See, I used to hate Orange Cassidy. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I still kind of do.
He's grown on me. He's gotten better. His matches are all the same. That sucks. Yeah. I wish they did some character development. I wish Hook was going after Cassidy instead of Joe. I really do. Like, it would make more sense.
Yep, it would. But last night on those 8-man and 8-woman tag things, like me and you were talking about in text, I get at its core what they were doing. It was because it was the homecoming show and the Brody Lee stuff. But the people that they picked out is what didn't make sense.
When you think of Daly's Place, in Clutch, you probably didn't watch it at the time. Do you think of Brody Lee? Why was it a Brody Lee tribute show? It doesn't make any sense.
Because they were in Jacksonville and it was pretty close to the anniversary of his death.
Okay, that I did not know.
It just happened. Like, the anniversary just passed, like within the last 30 days, but probably like within the last 2 weeks.
When I think of Daly's Place,
so that's why they called it Homecoming. If you notice, they also set it up back to that old school style that they had.
Yeah, I saw that. When I think of Homecoming, I think of the Bucks. I think of Cassidy. I think of Omega. I think of like Cody. I think of the originals. I really don't think of Edge. Like, why was he a part of that match? I don't really think about Brody Lee. I do, but not as much because, let's be honest, he was only on top for a little bit of the time. But that's neither, here nor there. Do you want to pivot over to WWE real quick and compare? Because I know Clutch is dying to give us some talk about Jinder. Do you want to compare Jinder real quick? Jinder versus Seth and Hook versus Joe. Just the what could come out of these programs? Like, what ifs? So let's start with Jinder and Seth. Clutch, we've been talking a lot.
Okay,
what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, in theory, it should just be open and shut. It should have been just, quick 5-10 minute match. Seth gets a stomp win. It's over. But I like to picture myself and see Triple H like just smiling in the background, be like, Jinder, give him the match of your life. And then he just despite Tony Khan and the bullshit he tries to spew. And I find something like that funny. I know I forgot if you talked about it on air before the show that it could be a vehicle for Priest. And like, maybe I think it's more interesting now because of what happened than it was before. I saw a tweet that I think Randy Orton liked, and he was like, don't ever say that Tony Khan doesn't make stars because he just made one out of Jinder Mahal.
Exactly.
And I think that stuff like that is so funny. And like, I can imagine in a world where Jinder just wins the title and just so it could be like a spot so Priest can win it and that's it. But it's something funny like that it's the more interesting match than Joe and Hook.
It is, and I heard this yesterday, so I'm not taking credit for any of these predictions. I heard this yesterday. I forgot who. We have the Royal Rumble coming up. We have the match, right? 30 men. We have 30 women. We have what it seems like Roman in the Fatal 4-Way match. We have what it seems like Gunther's going to defend that title somewhere, probably most likely. I don't really know. We don't have anyone set up for Seth. Who's Seth going to wrestle? He already wrestled Drew multiple times. He has no challenger set up for the Rumble. So let me shoot this real quick. And this is something I heard again. Damian Priest cashes in Monday night on Seth after Seth wins. Damian Priest is the champion leading to the Royal Rumble. Seth gets a rematch. That's your match. And that's where Judgment Day dissolves, where we can finally move on to Priest versus Finn Balor at WrestleMania, because that's going to be the match. So possibly Damian Priest, because he's had this he's had this briefcase for a long time. And we've seen Edge, he cashed in on Cena, I believe, I forgot who he cashed in on, and he lost it 3 to 4 weeks later. The same scenario could happen where Priest can cash it in, get it off of him, because he's been holding around for forever. Eventually, he's going to have to cash this thing in. He holds it for a couple weeks. Finn Balor's a little jealous. JD McDonough's a little jealous. We've seen Priest.
Truth is a little jealous.
Well, no, we've seen Truth and Priest kind of bond. Like, oh, he's kind of funny. Like, by the way, R-Truth, I'm not gonna even jive. Best thing in wrestling today. I love his segments. Last week was freaking great. I just love R-Truth. But anyway, Priest is like, yeah, Truth is funny, and they're not liking it. This is going to be a vehicle for Priest to win the title, go into the Rumble, drop it back to Seth because of Judgment Day nonsense, and boom, there we go. We set up 2 stories. We set up Priest versus Balor, and then we set up Seth getting his title back, and then that night, CM Punk winning the Rumble. Done and done. 2 matches made in one night at the Rumble. Why not? Why not? And Jinder is the one who's going to be the one. He set up Rock, right? Jinder set up The Rock doing his thing. Jinder can set up Rollins doing his thing. Makes sense. It makes sense. Why Jinder? I don't know.
Why not Jinder?
You're right. Why not Jinder? But why not put him on TV? Why not have him win some matches first? Seriously. Like,
honestly,
to me, makes sense.
This might be like the launch point to, I'm not saying to do some major main event thing or even a major mid-card thing, but just to put on TV more often. With all the stuff that just happened. I mean, his name is buzzing, so why not?
Yeah. Let me ask you something. Are you looking forward to watching Jinder matches? Is that something you look forward to?
Now I am. Just Chris, because of like the
so just out of spite. But I mean, like, wrestling as an actual wrestler in the ring, like, are you like pumped for, like, I can't wait to watch Jinder wrestle?
Well, yeah, not really.
Okay.
Chris,
I appreciate the honesty, because I remember his first go around. I was just like, I'm all for making new stars, but a few years ago when they brought him in, I'm like, all right, let's see. I'd never really saw the guy wrestle before, and I'm just like, he's just not that good. Like,
yeah,
he's so limited.
I think he's a solid character, but yeah, he's limited in ring, so that kind of like takes away from it.
And fun fact, I ran into him at a gas station down here. And let me tell you, that guy has the tiniest legs I've ever seen. I don't mean to hate, but I just got to tell you, I think I told Josh this story.
Yeah, he did.
But I saw him, and I was like looking at him, and I'm like, why does that guy look so familiar? Because, he was trying to hide who he was. He had a hoodie on. It's Florida. It's the summertime or whatever. So that's what kind of caught my eye with him. And he had like the tiniest legs. And then I went to go watch, because it was when he was in the middle of his run. And I didn't realize he's always got the high socks and everything, and that's always to kind of, I think, hide that a little bit, which is just weird because he's so huge and muscular up top.
Off topic, Chris. Did you get your yearbook?
No, I didn't go look for it yet.
We found out today that we went to high school with Roderick Strong.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
He graduated in 2002, and we graduated in 2004, so he's 2 years ahead of us.
Because we were watching, me and my wife, we were watching Dynamite last night, And I know I feel like I've heard it so many different times that he's from Tampa.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, we just never paid that much attention to it. And then last night, she always likes to look up things, for watching a movie or whatever. She's got to Google about different people, and she looked it up. And well, where's she from in Tampa? She's like, oh, he went to Riverview. Oh, he was born 1983. Oh, and she's like, looking at all that. She's like, wait, he went to your high school. Did you know him? I'm like, what are you talking about? And then she gave me his real name, and I don't recognize him because he was 2 years ahead of us. But I told Josh I was going to try and see if I had my yearbook somewhere to look it up and confirm if he did in fact go to our high school. But we think he did.
Yeah, there you go. I went to the Riverview High School Wikipedia page. Yes, they have one.
Yep.
And I went to the famous people that went there, and he's on the list. And so is Tyrone McKenzie, our good friend, or our friend.
Yep.
And Jaleel Adai, the cornerback that played for the Chargers for a while.
Okay. Yep.
You remember him?
Yep.
He got caught having sex with a girl in the car, or was that his brother? Anyway,
I don't
off
remember
topic.
which one.
Off topic.
This is the off-topic episode for sure. We're all over the place tonight. I love
So
it.
you said, "Are you excited to see Jinder wrestle?" Listen, it's all about the booking. Were you excited to see the Miz wrestle 2 years ago, a year ago? No. Were you excited to see the Miz wrestle against Gunther when he was built up to be a valid champ, a challenger to Gunther? Yes, we were. I was. I'm sure you were too, Clutch, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I didn't think babyface Miz was going to work ever again, but kind of did. Kind of does still.
Yeah. So if you book a person, Tony Khan, if you book a person strong and it doesn't matter who they are, Hulk Hogan, what if they booked Hulk Hogan to be, how about this? LA Knight. He was booked to be Max Dupree, right? Nobody cared. Nobody wanted him. Boom. He dropped the gimmick. He's LA Knight, biggest babyface in the company. Over Cody. It's all about how you book your people. They're characters in your story. They're characters in your little wrestling event. If you book Jinder strong and you make sure he looks strong and you give him strong promos and talking points, he could be a star. Anyone could be a star in this company.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, they can. Everyone except for Eve Marie. Everyone else has a chance.
Who?
Eve Marie.
Oh no, Chuck Taylor.
There was no
and Chuck from Best Friends.
And like I was saying, mine wasn't like story-wise, I could see where people would be getting excited for Jinder. My question was just like in-ring Jinder. Is anyone excited for that? I don't think so.
No. So let's go on to the other side where it's Hook and Joe. Where could this possibly go? It can't go anywhere. I think they're getting Joe quick wins because he's about to drop this title as predicted by me. Triple threat match. Called this how many weeks ago? Duh. It makes sense. It makes sense. Does Joe drop the title? Because he's going to choke. He's going to choke Hook out. And I think it should choke him out in a minute. I think it should be a minute. Boom. Choke him out. Done. Joe's dominant. Joe goes into the triple threat match. Joe doesn't get pinned. Swerve pins Hangman again. Swerve's the champion coming out of the Revolution. That's the way I see it. That's the way I would book it. We've been calling for Swerve as champion for how many years on this show? How many years?
A long time now. He
Yes.
definitely he's got the character. He looks good in the ring. He definitely. I was just thinking that more again last night as I'm watching him. I'm like, there's just something about him. He's got the whole package right now. He definitely should be a champion right now.
So, but this has nothing to do with Hook. It's only because every time Tony Khan gets a champion, every time, whether it be Jamie Hayter, CM Punk, it doesn't matter who it is. He throws cupcakes in there to build up wins because he's still in this mindset of he's 28-1 or he's whatever. Look what MJF did when he won the title. He faced Ricky Starks off the bat. Now Ricky Starks isn't Hook, but off the bat it was just a throwaway match. Nothing ever happened from it. He just likes to get his champions wins so whatever reason it is. It doesn't matter what it is. And to add on to that, Tony Khan, you sit here and you slander Jinder, you slander WWE. Abaddon came in out of nowhere. Title shot. Out of nowhere, title shot. Root, fucking what's her name? The little girl. She's like Rio comes back out of nowhere, title shot. Right? Wheeler Yuta. When's the last time we seen him get a win? Title shot against Eddie Kingston coming up. Tony Khan does the same crap. But
that's not a top title, though. Eddie Kingston's title is not a top title.
Seth Rollins isn't the top title.
Isn't that meant to be kind of a top title in WWE with how they like
but it's not the top title. Roman has the top title. Clutch.
Yeah,
You
but
agree?
is it, but yeah, that one's more important. But aren't they supposed to kind of be like both the top titles of their respective brand? Yes or no, right? They're above it's above the Intercontinental title, right? And above the US Championship, right?
I don't think it's above the Intercontinental title. I think Gunther's the best champion in WWE right
He
now.
he is, but I'm just talking belts. Take away the people. Where do you put the belts?
Chris,
It's closer to the WWE Championship than the Intercontinental Championship. If you take away the people that have them right now, you know what I'm getting at. I can see that smirk on your face. That heel smirk. You've got it. It's back.
You can't say that, Chris, because when the TNT title was held by Joe and Wardlow, the title was nothing. But now it's held by Christian Cage, and now it's the second best title in the company. So
yeah, but it's never going to be never going to be the first title though, right? That's what I'm saying. There's a natural order for things. They can get closer to one another. I don't ever see the TNT title being the top title in the company, just like I don't ever see the Intercontinental being regarded as the top title in WWE. It may have a better story at times. They may have a better champion, but no one's saying, oh, I'm done with the WWE title program. I want to go get involved in that Intercontinental title program because that's where it's at. No, you strive to be the WWE champion, and the belt that Seth has is right below that. They're supposed to be on par, but truly it's a little bit below. But it's definitely above the Intercontinental title.
There you
that's
go.
That's the way it's viewed.
Agree to disagree. We're going on to the Royal Rumble talk because I know me and Clutch have some. You're going to be there, Chris. You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
I know. Out of the three of us, I'm going to be there.
I will be in St. Pete. I'll be watching Take Pics or whatever. I'll be watching the prices drop. I might actually wait till the first match is over and then buy my tickets and walk in. I'm going to be in St. Pete during that day. So you might see me. I might be a run-in. I might be a late show.
What are you going to do if you don't find a ticket? Being that it's all the way in St. Pete, what do you do then?
It's a 45-minute drive home. I'll just drive home.
So you're going to wait. You're going to wait for the first 15 minutes match and then 45. So you're going to miss the first hour.
Clutch, how much would you pay for Royal Rumble tickets?
I mean, I'm kind of like, I kind of splurge on stuff like that. So like, I'll just pay whatever they ask.
Once in a lifetime thing. The way I justify it, the prices were higher than what I wanted to pay. But the way I look at it, it's in St. Pete, which is 45 minutes away from me. So because it's right here next to me, I don't have to pay for airfare. I don't have to pay for a hotel. I'm not going to be gone for several days and have to pay for dinners out anywhere. So I'm like, you know what? Rather than paying all that money to go see it in a different city, since it's right here and I've always wanted to do a Royal Rumble, I'll pay a little extra to go pay for it.
Yeah, to be honest, like the same thing happened to me. Like I went to Money in the Bank in London, and yeah, so I told myself, I was like, okay, I was gonna be in London anyway. So I was like, Money in the Bank is there. Okay, so just pay it, because I was like, when am I ever gonna get another chance to be in an atmosphere like that in London?
Yep.
So to witness something like that, especially what happened with Jay pinning Roman getting pinned for the first time in 3. It was a party. It was an amazing event. I was like, money well spent. I probably would have paid more.
There you go, Josh. I'll see you at the Rumble.
Do you mind me
asking whatever you have to pay?
Do you mind me asking how much you paid?
I bought the 2-night package for SmackDown and Money in the Bank.
What about you, Chris?
For the Rumble ticket. See, the problem was I was trying to wait and find that good middle ground, and then what backfired is the fact that CM Punk jumped ship and went over to WWE. So then it was like I was screwed. But we paid about $300 a ticket. But we're good though, because we're in like the club, I guess you call it club, but like the 200 section. So we're gonna have a really good, I'm not like way up in the 300s and way off in the corner. Like it's good seats for $300.
And Clutch, you said you're on the floor.
Yeah, I was on the floor by the ramp. Got to shake hands with Rey Mysterio. Cool story. Yeah. So it was like for each night, it was like $400 a piece.
So I made this joke today with my buddy Chris, my other buddy Chris. I said, he's like, "Are you gonna go?" Because he just moved to Ohio for work. And he said he would buy tickets. He almost flew down here. And I said, Chris, I've never spent more than $15 to get in Tropicana Field. I've never There's been times where I've been to like 10 Rays games in one season. I didn't pay $140 total. Just period. The cheapest ticket on Ticketmaster right now is $143, and that's all the way in the 300 level. I've never been to the 300 level at Tropicana Field. I didn't even know it existed. I've never seen it without tarps. I don't know how the view is. I don't know if I want to sit up there, but I might.
No.
If it gets down to 120, guys, I'll buy tickets. Seriously. That's my limit, 120. I'm not
Bring your binoculars if you go in the 300 corner section.
Tropicana Field. So why do they choose the Trop? That makes no sense. It's the worst fucking. It's the worst.
Because they needed something. Where else would they go? They weren't going to go to Raymond James. That's too big.
It's too big.
The Amalie Arena is too small.
Too small.
They needed a baseball stadium, and that's the closest one around here.
It is what it is. So anyway, back to the Rumble. I want to hear, Clutch, you said you have some theories on this of what you think is going to happen. So just break down the Rumble for me. I want to know elimination for elimination. I want to know winner. I want to know some storylines. Break it down.
So men and women or just men?
All of it. All of the above.
Okay, so for the women, I think the only logical way to go is I would have Bayley win it. Because I think there you have the story of, okay, Bayley said she's going after Rhea for the title, and Damage Control is gonna have the thing, but slowly Damage Control is gonna start treating Bayley like crap again, and then she's gonna be like, you know what? Let me challenge Io for the title, and that's where you get that match right there. And I don't know. We talk about Mercedes with AEW, but if it's boss time by any chance, there's her backup right there. If it goes that way, this is me fantasy bucking the crap out of that, and it could be leading up to WrestleMania. It's Bayley and Sasha against Damage Control. So that's for the women. For the men, it's kind of simple. I think you kind of have CM Punk win it, because you're not going to bring him back and not have a main event WrestleMania, even if it's just night one. And the clearest cut way is to have him win the Rumble. I think with Cody, you give him I like to compare it to Shawn Michaels in 2010, where he was so obsessed with getting at Taker, and Taker had won right before the Rumble, and Shawn got eliminated. It was heartbreaking, and then he had to find his way to Taker at Elimination Chamber, and I think something similar like that's gonna happen with Cody. And that's where I get to the whole Rock thing, right? I honestly, some people look at me crazy. Some people think it makes sense. I do think Rock and Roman is going to be in Australia at Elimination Chamber. Simple because of the fact, right before all the comebacks happened, when The Rock came back the first time and now the second time, they were talking about Australian government or officials trying to get The Rock for the show. And this is just that. So you have Rock and Roman, you have the Fatal 4-Way, right, at the Rumble. Roman wins via bloodline or not or whatever. It's really refreshing to see a Fatal 4-Way instead of a normal one-on-one Roman match, by the way. So Roman wins. The Rock comes out to end the show face to face with Roman. They have their build. Hopefully Rock can show up for multiple shows before Elimination Chamber. They have their build, have the match. Cody wins the Chamber. He gets put in by Nick Aldis because Nick Aldis just wants to screw over Roman, that we've seen on SmackDown. And that's how you get to Roman Cody. That's basically where I'm at. I probably missed a couple of storylines here and there, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, I can buy that. So I think I would love the idea of Rock and Roman in Australia, but you're really going to put the biggest match in history, not the biggest match in history, but one of them at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. our time. Your mass audience is America, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. You're going to ask your people to stay up at 5. You're going to ask your people to wake up at 3 a.m. or whatever time it starts to watch Rock at 5 a.m. Nobody wakes up at 5 a.m. That's my problem with that match. It could happen. It's a big show. I think 72,000, 62,000, somewhere in that range. It's a huge show. It makes sense for The Rock to debut there or to come back there. What if we do this? What if we do Rock loses the title at Rumble to Randy?
You mean Roman?
Roman loses the title to Randy somehow, some way. We get Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, and then you get Cody and Randy. Cody wins the Rumble. You get Cody and Randy. A heel Randy somehow versus Cody. The story writes itself. I don't like that, but I don't see a way. I don't see a way in reality where Rock and Roman isn't at WrestleMania. I just don't see a way. I mean, you guys, everyone listening, you can go back when I did a solo show. I booked all of WrestleMania. I did a whole thing, both nights. It just doesn't make sense to leave The Rock off of WrestleMania. No one's going to look back in time. When my son is 10 years old or 15 years old, and I go, hey, let's watch WrestleMania 40. It was Rock and Roman, right? That's huge. Nobody's gonna want to go, hey, let's go watch Elimination Chamber, Rock and Roman. No, they want that WrestleMania moment. That's what it's built for. I just truly believe Clutch, I see your thing. I understand it. I wish that would happen. I just don't think The Rock would come back for a 5 a.m. Australia match. That's just me.
To go on to your point about Randy winning and then doing it that way, I mean, I'm not ready to boo Randy, and Randy will be the clear heel against Cody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready. No, I don't think anybody's ready to boo Randy yet.
No.
And it just doesn't make sense. He wins the title and goes immediately into the heel because Cody wants to finish the story. I just don't think that's a way to go. And plus, at that point you would be taking. You have to consider Punk. He's going to main event, so then you're not gonna have Randy and Cody be a main event. That's just weird.
You say weird. I feel bittersweet. Dwayne was the one who took his main event away the first time. Now Dwayne can do it again. I think it's deserved. Fuck you, Punk.
I mean, hey, a friend of mine, like, he's probably watching this. He brought up something, and it made me mad because it makes sense. Like that Rumble where The Rock came out to save Roman and raise his hands. What city was it in?
I don't remember. Honestly,
it was in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I was like, screw you when my friend told me that because it made sense. Philadelphia. And where's WrestleMania now? Philadelphia. And WWE likes to do that kind of like full circle thing. So I was so mad that it made sense.
Can we all agree this is the first time in years where WrestleMania looks fun? To me, it looks fun. You don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if Brock's going to come back. We don't know who Gunther is going to wrestle. We don't know much of anything. This is the most unpredictable, most fun, anticipated WrestleMania I've felt a long time. To me, at least, I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and it comes like from the fact that there's so much babyface talent that everybody wants to see Jey Uso at WrestleMania. Everybody wants to see LA Knight at WrestleMania. Everybody wants to see Randy. They want to see Cody. They want to see Rock. They want to see Roman. So like, there's so much like talent and over like that people want to see. Like up and down the card, you're gonna have an attraction that everybody wants to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, would you tune in for LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the U.S. title?
Yeah, I would. And I think part of this has to do, though, like where you're saying, there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot of potential matches we don't know yet. I think this is the Triple H effect, though. Is that he's not just going to recycle the same 3-month program. Like, that's why I figure after football season, I will give it another legitimate shot to try and watch it. And I said for years now, when Triple H has full control, I would go back to watching it. I just couldn't do the Vince McMahon stuff. It was getting so childish. So I think that's what's part of what, why you're looking forward to it so much is that Triple H is really good at this. And I think he's going to put on a good show. And like, now imagine after he gets past that one, now he's going to have a full year to build to the next one. So I think the next one could be even better.
Yep. Well, and he's going to have all the momentum going up with all the international shows coming up right after WrestleMania.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we saw last year WrestleMania was good. Last year WrestleMania was great. It really was. The night after WrestleMania where Chris gave it a shot, Vince took over, literally.
It was so bad.
And he crushed that. He killed that show. And that's when I said, because Clutch, I was watching WWE Weekly when Triple H was in charge. I did notice a shift after SummerSlam where it started getting stupid again. And then we all knew Vince was back. And then the night after Mania, it was confirmed. Yep, Vince is 1000% back. Nothing happened. It was the worst show probably ever for night after WrestleMania. I think Triple H is going to make this night after WrestleMania so special because of what Vince did last year. And we all lost faith. I did.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
I watch more WWE than I watch AEW. That's a fact these days. And it's a Triple H effect. You're seeing great talent like Ciampa and Gargano getting a spot. You're seeing Gunther doing what he's doing. Nothing but great things in WWE. Truth. Our truth has just been, I'm telling you guys, the best thing in wrestling for me. I just laugh so hard when he's on TV. But good things for wrestling all around. You got TNA making a comeback. They're obviously doing great things. Got AEW. At least we have something to laugh at. And we have WWE, which honestly is becoming the best wrestling show on TV.
Let me ask you something about WWE and Triple H. Do you think at any point he goes back and remolds NXT back to anything close of what it was before when it was at its prime, when he was in full control? Because I miss that era of NXT. I loved it so much when he was in full control, and I hated when Vince made it, Disney NXT.
I like Clutch answer because he probably watches NXT.
I watch NXT. I don't want to say weekly, but most of the time, and I think Shawn Michaels is doing a great job down there. And it's gotten a little bit more like old NXT. Like people just don't want to give it a shot because Vince killed Black and Gold or whatever. If you give it a shot and look at some of the matches, look at Ilya Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes, Braun Breaker. I mean, the talent is there, and they're going and they're having really, really good matches that people just don't watch because of what happened before. But I think you're more likely going to see Triple H try to turn the main roster into something more like old NXT than NXT becoming more like old NXT again. Especially like we talked about all the Triple H effect and all these talents, and there's even more talent coming in if you talk about Andrade's coming in. Naomi seems like she's coming back in.
Who?
Trinity.
Okay.
She's Naomi. She's going to be Naomi again. So I'm getting ahead of it.
I want to ask you that because Mercedes already trademarked a bunch of Mercedes stuff, right? Like that was a thing last week. She trademarked 3 things like Mercedes Monet or whatever she trademarked. I forgot what it was. But if she comes back to the E, which I don't think is going to happen, do you think she's going to be Sasha Banks or do you think she's going to be Mercedes?
I mean, if the money's right, I think she's like all about the money, and if the money's right, I think she'd be Sasha Banks again.
They're not going to pay her what Tony will pay her, and I think that's I think you're right about that. Endeavor's not going to pay these guys big money, and Tony Khan will. Tony Khan is a mark, and he will pay them whatever they want. Why do you think Edge is there? Seriously, why do you think Edge is there? Tony Khan wanted.
I agree.
Why do you think?
I thought Edge, some of these guys I thought were, I'm sure money, but I think some of them, like look at Bryan Danielson. He was saying like Vince was like not letting him wrestle the way he wants to wrestle.
He was saving his life. Look at him now. He's got no eye.
He's got no eye. Listen, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with is it right or wrong, but I'm saying I think that's why some of these guys want to go there as well. Money is one thing, but I will say they realize that in ring, because it's not as structured, which you can say is you can make an argument for that being a good thing, and you can make an argument for that being a bad thing, but it's less structured there, so they can go maybe have some matches and do some more things because they've made their money at that point.
I don't know if that's a good thing, Chris, and we're gonna log off pretty soon because I'll leave it at this. Less structure means more injuries, not the safest place. You got Adam Cole out, you got Bryan Danielson out. There's multiple people. MJF, your biggest top star, out. Your biggest star in the company, out.
Adam Cole, that was
Kenny
definitely
Omega.
From doing something dangerous. He hopped off the ramp.
Well, before that though, he was hurt, wasn't he? Remember?
He's always hurt.
The concussion issue. Then you have Kenny Omega out. You basically had the Young Bucks out for a long time. Jamie Hayter, like I already bring up Jamie Hayter, she was out. Thunder Rosa was out. The list goes on of injured people in AEW. The list is growing match after match, week after week, with the safest company in the world. Safest. No one's safer. He'll put
that was a dumb comment by him. I'll give you that. That was a dumb comment. They're definitely not the safest. But hey, injuries happen everywhere. WWE has their fair share as well.
Where? Charlotte?
What's
Good
Big E
riddance.
up to? Hey, what's Big E up to these days? What was his last
Oh,
match?
come on.
Hey, don't say that they don't have them when they do. That's all I'm getting at.
You're right. Just not as frequently. But anyway, we're gonna end it there because that was see heel guys, the freaking heel of the show, right?
That's because the show has turned WWE, so now that's why I've become the heel and you've become the babyface.
The bigger story here for me is how Josh has turned face more than anything, because this isn't
so
the Josh
shocking.
I met. This isn't
Yeah.
the Josh I met.
This is proof that I just want great pro wrestling. This is proof. I'm not a tribal AEW mark. I'm not the Bucks this, the Bucks that. Look, when the Bucks came out last night, zero reaction. It was crickets. Nobody cares.
You're
Nobody
really
cares about-
Sting his last match against the Bucks.
we can go in on that forever. Was it Sting's decision? Was it the Bucks using their power? Do you think Sting, a legend, a legit like top 10 wrestler of all time, chose the Bucks? Or
We should cover that in an upcoming show, because then I'd like to hear who would you pick. I'm not saying that was a right or wrong decision, because I don't even know who's the right decision, but
I do.
I'd love to. We should go in a whole spiel about that on next week's episode.
Yeah, that's next week. Next week, I'll tell you who it should have been and how it
Okay.
should have got there, because I've already thought about this.
Of course you have. You've got it all laid out. That's why I like talking wrestling with you, man. You've got it all laid out. I love it.
That's why I should be hired somewhere. But we're going to leave it at this. Clutch, any last words before we go?
Do not hinder the gender, my man. That's my last words for you.
Chris, anything from you, man?
Before we go, if you haven't already, Josh, you need to go watch the wrestling documentary on Netflix I told you to watch. You haven't watched it yet, though, have you?
I don't have Netflix.
Figure it out.
I don't even know what the documentary was called, to be completely 100% honest with you.
I'll send
Have
it to you again.
Have any of you seen the Iron Claw?
Not yet.
No, I really want to see it, but I haven't yet.
I want to see it too. All right, no more rambling. We got to go. Follow us on the socials. Of course, it's all right here at Fins Talk Sports Network. Bobby, we got to get this updated. Real Talk Wrestling. I need some WWE colors. I want some red. I want some blue. I want WWE font. This is a WWE show for now on.
R-Truth's face somewhere? Yeah.
R-Truth, yes. I want a remix of R-Truth's song. What's up? What's up? Real Talk Wrestling. You know, something like that. Can we do that, Bobby? If you're watching, Bobby. Anyway, guys, we're getting out of here. Love you. See you next week. Peace out. This is going to be the